Happy Mondays, everyone. So this is going to be a slightly different episode today. I want to look at when you're evaluating a new bit of software, a new app, or something you're going to deploy into your company. What are the key things that you should be asking yourself before you invest the time and money into choosing a bit of kit or bit of software, and then actually learning how to use it and then rolling it out to how many people are in your team. So whenever you pick a new app, whatever the functionality you're looking for to improve your business. So for example, maybe you're going to introduce one-to-one meetings and you've got to choose, well, what bit of software am I going to use to do my one-to-ones? You could use Google Hangouts, you could use Skype, you could use Zoom. There's a countless numbers of different apps you can use. So how do you know which one to go for and why, which one should you choose? So first of all, really simply, does the bit of software, whatever you're choosing, have the functionality that you require for you to do whatever it is you want to do? So for example, if you're doing one-to-one meetings, you might say, well, I need to have meetings of at least half an hour because that's going to be the meeting time. I want to be able to record my meetings. I want it to be simple to use, and I want it to be free for other users and probably free for me to begin with. So you make sure it's got the functionality before you invest the time. Learning how to use a new bit of software and then training other people or deploying it into your company is a massive investment of your time. Forget the money, because hopefully, onto my second point, there's always going to be a free or cheap option for you to evaluate the software and to do so extensively enough that you know that it's the right one before you then roll it out to everybody else. So having a free or cheap option is, in my opinion, really, really key. Trial versions are great, but it limits your ability to evaluate it in a time frame that is reasonable. Often you only get 7 days or 14 days to make a real evaluation of a new bit of software using the trials. And actually that's often not long enough. You need some time to get to know, to find out the quirks and make sure it's actually right before you go ahead and invest in it. Once you've invested into it, and this is why I say, make sure there is a free or very cheap version to just try it out. Because once you invest money into something, you'll want to get your money back, if you like, your return on investment. And that may skew your opinion on whether a piece of software is good or not. If you've paid for a 12-month license, and often that's the cheapest way to get software, or if you're locked in for a 12-month period, for example, then you may actually make it work, sort of push that square peg into a round hole just because you spent some money. So it's really actually a key thing, something I've learned the hard way for that very, very reason, and had to try to sort of backtrack and get refunds and stuff. And it's just a hassle that you don't really want. So lastly, the third point, is it scalable? This is so crucial, and something that comes up in conversations so often with the software that we recommend. Often it's not the cheapest bit of software out there. There are other possibilities that you could use. For example, LastPass is not the cheapest password sharing app available. However, or login sharing app, but available, I should say. But actually, LastPass is totally scalable. So when you actually get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 50 employees, whatever that is, whatever your goal is for the next 5, 10 years, whatever, you're not having to deploy a whole new piece of software to cope with your slightly growing business. So make sure there's longevity in whatever you invest in, because the time it's going to take you to learn this stuff is time away from you doing the core stuff in your business. And make sure that any investment of time, you learning how something works and then training other people, is something that's not going to be changing again in 12 months or 18 months time. So, and on that very point, making sure that the software you choose, if possible, it's not always the case, if possible, has decent training. So training that they produce, so that you can get your team to watch the company's training videos, as in the app's training videos, rather than you having to train everybody yourself. That then speeds up the process of deployment as well. So just as a recap, when you deploy a new bit of software into your company, just a new app on your phone or whatever it is, this is a huge investment of your time. Money, yes, but time is the most important thing. You can't get time back. So make sure the investment you do is a good one by checking that it has the functionality, the basic functionality that you need. Sometimes you won't know what that functionality is until you've tried out a few. And that's just, unfortunately, the name of the game when you're just getting started. But make sure the one you go for, the one you deploy, has the basic functionality that you need. Secondly, is there a free or a cheap option so you can do a genuine, decent amount of time evaluating it before you commit to it? And lastly, is it scalable? Super, super important. For one thing I'll say about the scalability, which I forgot to mention, user management. Can you give somebody else the responsibility for taking over the whole administration of that product or of that app as you want to scale. Because very quickly, you don't want to be sort of the guy that's having to set up the meetings in your meeting software to then invite your staff. That should be done by somebody else. So can you delegate roles like that using user management? So that's it. Hope that's helpful, and see you again soon. Cheers.